sponsored by the DI Gamma Group.
Welcome to Rumbo Minero. My name is Jorge Leon Benavides, and together with Cesar Campos, we are going to develop this program. How are you, Cesar?
What a pleasure, Jorge, as always.
Well, this is a very important week. Romulo Mucho Mamani has been appointed as Minister of Energy and Mines, which we welcome from here. He is well known in the mining sector. We have seen him working. He has been Vice Minister. Really an important appointment by Cesar.
He has been very well known in the sector, and we imagine in the country that he knows the dynamics of the mining activity, as well as the change of the Minister of Economy, Alex Contreras, who had practically finished his term, for the economist Jose Arista, who also knows a lot. He has been Vice Minister of Finance. He has also been Minister of Economy and Governor of a region. Therefore, we believe that they are the right people to take the reins of the country forward.
Definitely good changes, but we are concerned with the mining issue, and that is why we have prepared a semblance so that you may know who Romulo Mucho is, our new Minister of Energy and Mines. Go ahead.
Rómulo Mucho Mamani, nacido en Juli, Chucuito, Puno, es ingeniero de minas, catedrático y político peruano. He was Vice Minister of Mines during the government of Alejandro Toledo and Congressman of the Republic in the parliamentary period 2000-2001. Mr. Mucho Mamani studied mining engineering at the National University of the Altiplano de Puno and a postgraduate degree at the National University of San Marcos. He also has studies in senior management at the University of Piura and continuing education studies at Queen's University in Kingston, Canada. He is also winner of the Atlas Copco Scholarship and the Yica Scholarship. He has received much recognition from universities and public and private institutions. Thus, in the year of the Order of Peruvian Engineering, the most prestigious award given by the College of Engineers of Peru for his professional career. In the same year, he received the honorary distinction of Doctor Honoris Causa from the Universidad Nacional del Altiplano de Puno. He is also Doctor Honoris Causa of the National Universities of Tumbes, Puno, and Daniel Alcides Carrión de Cerro de Pasco, and has received the President's Citation Award from the SME of the United States. In July, the Universidad Nacional del Centro del Perú awarded him the distinction of Doctor Honoris Causa in merit for his institutional, academic, and business career, for his tireless work for a modern mining industry as a support for the development of Peru. He is a professor at the Universidad Nacional Mayor de San Marcos and also teaches in his specialty at different universities in the country. Regarding his career in the mining sector, he worked since the 80s in various mines, including Tintaya, Regina, Malaga, and then in the companies Cemento Pacasmayo from 1992 to 1997 as superintendent of quarries, having 43 years of experience in such companies. He held his highest position in the executive branch as Vice Minister of Mines between 2005 and 2006 during the government of President Alejandro Toledo. During this period, he participated in the facilitation, mediation, and negotiation of socio-environmental conflicts involving the companies Tintaya, Majas, Las Bambas, Yanacocha, among others. He also served as president of the Peruvian Institute of Mining Engineers, INGIMET, between 2012 and 2014, and Congressman of the Republic between the years 2000 and 2001, being then manager of the canon law.
Well, the best of luck to Minister Romulo Mucho. In this program, we are going to touch on topics. We are going to interview Iván Salas, country manager of Inca Gold Corporation. We are also going to have Oscar Benavides, president of the Peruvian delegation for the POC. We are leaving soon for the POC. And what else are we going to have, Cesar?
Álvaro Monge, who is the general manager of Macroconsult, which is an entity that has made a study together with Glencore on the impacts caused in our country, and particularly in the Cusco region by the Antapaccay investment.
So now join us to watch and listen to the main mining news of the week by Gabriela Chicoma.
Thank you, Jorge. These are the main mining news of the week. Yangal, Peru, a local subsidiary of Yangal Corp, has its sights set on the geological potential of Cajamarca. In that sense, it filed an application to obtain a mining concession in that region before the Geological, Mining and Metallurgical Institute in Guimet on 200 hectares in a sector of Nguasmin, Selendin, Cajamarca. In a previously announced transaction, Latin Metals Inc. closed a non-brokered private placement for total gross proceeds of US$700 Canadian. The financing will support continued exploration and generative activities in its portfolio of copper projects in Peru and Argentina. The President of the Council of Ministers, Alberto Otaro La Peñaranda, announced the executive's decision to declare a state of emergency for 60 calendar days in the provinces of Patás and Trujillo, in La Libertad. With this measure, the armed forces, with the support of the police, will assume the control of internal order in Patás due to the increase of crimes related to illegal mining such as sexual exploitation, arms and chemical supplies, trafficking, pimping, among others.
Many thanks to Gabriela Chicoma for the main mining news of the week. Well, now let's meet and greet Iván Salas, Country Manager of Inca One Gold Corporation. One Gold Corporation, we are going to talk about gold processing and towards the operation of their own gold mines. How are you? Welcome. Good, thank you. Tell us a little bit. First I'd like to know a little bit about processing in Peru. A lot of people talk about why we export dirt or why we export stones. You guys don't. And I also see that there are some of the companies like yourselves that are also thinking about having their own mines. Tell us a little bit about that evolution.
Thank you for the question. In principle, I appreciate the invitation, but it is important how we start this conversation because you say that or in Peru, we export stones or we export land, right? In principle, we, as Inca One, we are a mineral processing plant, correct? It is a company based in Canada. We are listed on the Toronto Stock Exchange, and our core business is the processing of gold ore, native rock, which we buy and process in our plants. Today, we definitely export doré. What is doré? It is a combined bar of gold and silver, which in our case, in the order of gold concentration. We exported more or less 650 kilos of gold in the year 2023, which is how we closed the year, and more or less 56,000 tons of gold ore that we processed. Now, when you say we export, there are opportunities. Today, we are exporting doré.
Just to clarify, I do not say it. There are people who do not understand well and say it.
But that's correct. Today, we do not reach the final chain or the final link in the gold production process, yes? And believe me, we are focusing quite detailed and meticulously, let's say, on how to improve all our processes. And today, we have certification. Today, we are the only company in the world to start with accredited by Swiss Better Gold to export gold to Switzerland, to the two largest refineries in the world, MKS Pampa and Arba, right? And also to Swiss jewelers. We're talking about watches that already have, let's say, orders placed for the gold that based on what? On due diligence and legal provenance of the gold and good practices in production. What are we missing? The part of getting to the final link. How can we give more added value to the gold we export? And there is a very important stage.
Let us dwell a little bit even on what you say, the legal acquisition, the legal procedure you have for the purchase of this gold. Do you work with small-scale miners, with artisans?
Artisanal stages? Yes, that is correct. 100% of our operation here is based on AMAPE, which is small artisanal mining production and in the world. Okay.
And they see the business model as sustainable given all these problems that have arisen, where there is always a thin red line on the border between illegality, informality, and also artisanal mining production.
I believe that it is sustainable to begin with. 20% of the world's gold production comes from small-scale mining in the world. That is true. In Peru, I can tell you that we are in the order of 25 or 27% of small mineral production in Peru. Then what is happening in Peru today? What is happening in Peru today? I can tell you transparently, RIENFO, which is what we are talking about, which is the system that we have today to be able to help small mineral producers in Peru. System we have today to be able to help small miners. The miners, many of them, I would say that 80% of the miners are miners who were genuinely born in those lands and process and want to be formal, okay? They want to be legal. But I am not going to deny, and that is where the call that I always make to the authorities and to everyone, that we must be very clear that there must be no gray lines and nothing between dividing illegality and formality.
That is why the reinfo has to end. It has been going on for many years now. And those who were able to legalize, well, and those who could not have to find a way to legalize themselves if they are in the group you mentioned. But there have been excesses with the reinfo. There have been excesses with the reinfo where a large part has used it to buy dynamite or explosives for the black market. In other words, the reinfo has been misused. We also have to be aware of that.
Excellent point. For me, it helps me quite a bit to be precise here. I always say the reinfo is perfectible in every sense, but it is a law here. It is a tool that fulfills a social binomial on the one hand and economic. It is perfect as a purpose. But I make the example with a weapon that since biblical times has been given to us to exercise justice, to be able to exercise justice. But what if it falls into the wrong hands? Right? Then it already defeats the purpose for which it was given, or perfectible.
Or it needs to be fixed, but we can't go on with a large mass that is largely suspected of not being that group. Why?
There I go, just one thing is mass in terms of people, heads that we can find, and another thing is transactional volumes. That transactional volumes, that's where I always say you have to go to the illegality and you have to follow the provenance of the money, right? That is where you have to go.
Inca One Gold, Ivan, has 2 processing plants and you are going for a third one. You even intend to acquire a gold-producing mine. The mechanism to access investment capital is difficult. Tell us a little bit about it.
Thank you. The point is vital here. It is complex in Peru since it is real that we find a lot of illegality, a lot of illegal capital. So the financing of the ASM segment as such and of gold is closed. Even for us, being a Canadian company here, to qualify for financing in the national banking system, it is very complicated for us, correct? And the same thing happens to small miners. Today, we raise capital, and it is true, in shares, we raise it in foreign investment groups, correct? But with all the corresponding due diligence process in order for us to be able to maintain our qualification with the Toronto Stock Exchange. Now, just as it is complex for us, again, I repeat, it is complex for the small miners as well. We have obtained foreign investors, investment funds, family offices and groups that are interested, or even the refineries, if you qualify for them in the whole process, right? You can receive financing accreditation. In our case, for example, the major banks in the world have their gold deposited or coming from these 2 refineries that we mentioned. So it makes us a qualifying agent for clean financing.
Ivan, thank you very much for being with us. We hope you can visit us when the new projects start, and we thank you for being in Rumbo Minero. Thanks to you. Iván Salas, Country Manager of Inca One Gold Corporation, was with us. One Gold Corporation. We now go to a form and a promotion, as always, with Gabriela Chicoma.
Thank you very much. Expo Mina Peru on September 24th, 2024 will be presided over by Luis Rivera, Executive Vice President of Golfis Las Americas, and integrated by an advisory board of renowned mining leaders who will support us in achieving a magnificent organization. Highlight your brand through the different sponsorships we offer at Expo Mina Peru. Networking opportunities, participation in exclusive activities, promotion in the media, among other important benefits. For more information, visit our website www.expominaperu.com.
Come on in, and it's time for America Mining. We link up, as always, directly from Wall Street, New York, with José Gonzáles. Hello, José. How are you? Very well, Jorge. Nice to see you.
To see you always.
José, in the last 12 months, Tesla's share price has dropped 100%. And even though in the medium and long term, the prospects of electromobility are transcendental to reduce global temperatures and redefine the planet's economy, the reduction in the sale of electric cars, the EBSs, has generated a short-term gray cloud in the industry. What is the reality of the economic and financial dynamics of electromobility, and what is that outlook?
You are correct, Jorge. The correction in Tesla's share price has cost Elon Musk a whopping dollars of dollars, or the equivalent of more than 10% of Peru's GDP, despite which he remains the richest person in the world with a net worth of more than dollars of dollars. The stock drop has been due to lower than expected operating and financial results, defects in assembled vehicles, and competition in the electric vehicle market, particularly from Chinese cars. Now, Tesla's particular problems are part of an industry malaise that in the US seems to have gotten ahead of consumer demand, causing Tesla to grow less than expected, Ford and General Motors to cut EV production, and Hertz to sell a third of its EV fleet. That does not mean, however, that EVs are not selling, but rather that their adoption is not what was expected, with sales growth of 47% in 2023, with 1.4 million units sold, with 1.9 million units due to be sold this year, or an expected growth of 36%. The problem with the slowdown, according to the Wall Street Journal, is that demand must go beyond early adopters to the mass market, for which vehicle range, charging infrastructure, maintenance costs, and resale prices must be improved. For Bloomberg, however, the tipping point, the adoption tipping point, is already underway, with 5% of EVs sold among new vehicles annually, which in European countries went from that 5% to 25% in less than 4 years. The difficulty being several ratios in the United States, according to the Journal, that in the United States, Americans spend more in their cars than in Europe. Goldman Sachs reinforces the tipping point argument, arguing that by 2035, electric vehicles will account for almost half of total new vehicle sales in the GV, transforming vehicle autonomy, labor markets, supply chains, and commodity markets in the process. For Goldman, it is not just a matter of replacing electric vehicles with internal combustion vehicles, but of a re-engineering process involving battery chemistry, semiconductors, and software that will change the depreciation of vehicles and the driving experience, as well as the very composition of cars. Since electric cars use 6 times more metal components than internal combustion vehicles. Goldman calls Chile and Peru the copper lip service and the biggest beneficiaries of electric vehicle adoption.
Jose, on the other hand, there has been some rather curious news in the mining exploration market this week as a company called Cobalt Metals, which also has as shareholders none other than Microsoft's Bill Gates and Amazon's Jeff Bezos, not through the use of artificial intelligence, has discovered huge copper deposits in Zambia. And this has resulted in, well, what do you call a buzz in English? A tremendous buzz, especially in the United States. And there is talk of the potential for the future use of artificial intelligence. Tell us a little about this. How do you evaluate the impact of such information?
That's right, Cesar. Cobalt Metals, which counts Bill Gates and Jeff Bezos as shareholders, has announced that it has discovered, again, it's a company announcement, massive copper deposits at the Mingomba project in Zambia, and it could be one of the largest high-grade copper mines in the world. Zambia is the second largest copper producer in Africa after the Republic of Congo. According to company president Josh Goldman, the mine could be the size of Kamoa-Kakula in the Congo, which is across the border on the Congolese side, north of Zambia, where Mingomba is located. It is no coincidence that the deposits are close together. Kamoa-Kakula, which is owned by Ivan Minas of Australia, produced 400,000 tons of copper in the year of 1,000 tons of copper in the year 2023. According to COBOL, its technology uses artificial intelligence to generate Google Maps of the Earth's crust, which assist in finding deposits of copper, lithium, cobalt, and nickel. Bill Gates' investment in COBOL is made through Breakthrough Energy, which is Gates' vehicle for investing in alternative energy, and also has a number of major investors in innovation. Andreessen Horowitz, the venture capital fund in San Jose, California. Equinor, BHP, Ray Dalio's Richware Associates, and Richard Branson's Virgin Group as shareholders. The company notes, however, that the mine's production phase would take at least a decade and cost $2 billion. COBOL, on the other hand, makes use of conventional exploration via drilling to ascertain the existence of material and has already invested $200 million in exploration at Zambia. On the one hand, it is clear that the new method needs to be proven in terms of use. It does not cut exploration or investment in exploration, particularly in the drilling of the Mantina, which is fundamental to determine copper contents and potential reserves. What is underlined to Cesar and is important for Peru and its mining production is that there is interest from well-known investors in critical metals in terms of decarbonization.
Very well, many thanks to José Gonzáles, international editor, as well as Rumbo Minero magazine. Rumbo Minero magazine is free of charge. You can go to www.rumbominero.com and download every 45 days all the information developed by our editors, including the international editor José Gonzáles. And also, of course, you can access all the advertisements of products and services of our suppliers that are so important. Suppliers that are so important. Cesar?
That's right, Jorge. Time to introduce the AMSAC Mining Assets Block.
AMSAC Mining Assets is a Peruvian public company with a great purpose: to give life back to the planet. Thus, we are dedicated to contribute to the sustainable development of the country through mining environmental remediation. In AMSEC, we recover the areas affected by high and very high-risk mining liabilities, which are in a situation of abandonment or in which the state has not identified the responsible parties. In this line of work, today we are present in 11 regions of Peru, with a portfolio of 65 remediation projects, which are located in different phases. Promotion of private investment. In AMSAC, we represent the Peruvian state as counterpart of the transfer contracts of important mining projects, and we also supervise the fulfillment of the commitments and obligations that are part of such processes. Today we are leaders in business management systems within the 35 companies of the FONAFE Corporation by having certifications, made 9,001 in quality management, made 14,001 in environmental management, made 37,001 in anti-bribery management, and 45,001 in occupational health and safety management. At AMSAC, sustainability and care for the planet are our DNA. And for this reason, we are proud to contribute to creating a better world through the recovery of air, water, soil, and ecosystems impacted by mining liabilities, and thus contribute to 10 of the 17 Sustainable Development Goals by the year 2030. Giving life back to the planet is more than a simple phrase for us. It is the guide of our daily actions, with which we positively impact the lives of thousands of Peruvians, and through them, our country.
Well, we now meet Álvaro Monge, the former general manager of Macroconsult. What are we going to talk about? The economic and social impact of Antapaccay. They have done a study, but welcoming Álvaro, I would like to ask him, obviously, first, about the appointment of Rómulo Monge as Minister of Energy and Mines. How are you, Álvaro?
How are you? Good morning. No, thank you very much for the invitation. In general, I think the appointment generates positive expectations. He is a professional with a good knowledge of the sector. There are expectations to relaunch mining investments. Above all, it is one of the most important issues to be addressed. But obviously, there is an important issue to be addressed at the Petroperú level. And that is probably where they are going to have to make the major decisions and the toughest decisions.
Well, tell us a little bit about a few days ago, Macroconsult and Glencore presented a report on the economic and social impact that Antapaccay has had for Cusco, especially for the province of Espinar. Tell us a little bit about the study you have done in this issue.
Yes, well, we did the study last year. Now we have been disseminating it a little bit. And basically, the objective of this document is to analyze the economic and social impacts that the mining project has had, both on the national economy and in Cusco, and in the area of direct influence, which is basically the province of Espinar, which is a province that still has significant social gaps. And we wanted to analyze what contribution Antapaccay has had in collaborating in the reduction of some of them in a time horizon of the last 10 years. We have studied the project from the year of 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 the agreement until the year of the year of the year of the agreement, more or less.
Of course, in the year 2012, when Glencore starts operations in Antapaccay, is that right? That is correct. And what has been the effective impact on Cusco's GDP, and especially with respect to the emblematic projects?
Yes, the impact in national terms is 1.1% of the GDP. That is, let's say, the contribution, taking into account direct, indirect, and induced effects. That more or less puts the Antapaccay project as a project that is half the size of the Las Bambas project, to be able to have a direct reference. In the case of Cusco, the importance is obviously greater, the Cusco economy is smaller, and most of the impacts tend to stay within the region. The importance, again, taking into account direct, indirect, and induced impacts, is close to 17% of the Cusco economy. 10% for direct impacts and 7% for indirect and induced impacts. That is almost 20% of the economic activities developed in the region.
That is to say, generation of parallel employment plus royalties, right?
When you add up all those impact channels, more or less one can say that 20% of the economic activities developed in the region have some kind of link with the MineX project.
And this is at the level of all the districts of Cusco.
It is at the level of the economy of the department as a whole. Obviously, the investment in canon and royalties this more geographic approach tends to be more beneficial to those that are closer to the deposit, such as the province of Espinar.
Something that we have always, Álvaro, discussed here in the program, and of course it is almost like an editorial line, it is the poor distribution that the local authorities make precisely of these resources that they obtain from the mining production that is so enormous and so important for Peru. As you are pointing out, Antapaccay, 1.1% of the national GDP. What approach has the study given to the way in which the income from Antapaccay is distributed both in the province of Pinar and in the Cusco region?
It is important to first measure the amount in canon and royalties, which are close to 3 billion sols, when one accumulates the results of the last 10 years. If we focus only on the last year, for example, the districts of the province of Espinar have received in the year 2022 a little more than 100 million sols, and the municipality of Espinar, 75 million sols.
What is your budget for its execution? You have also covered the execution, that is correct.
Therefore, the first thing I wanted to say is that it is not a problem of the amount of resources. The resources are there. The level of execution, in the case of the province of Espinar, more or less about 70-75% of those resources are executed. They do not execute 100%, but more important is the distributive problem. Within the sectors that have been prioritized within this investment, for example, one can find importance in transportation, which is close to 25% of the investment. But that contrasts, for example, with the 9% that receives sanitation, being sanitation one of the main gaps that the province of Espinar has. So there is a problem of resource distribution that could still be addressed to improve the contribution in reducing the social gap.
That's what I wanted to ask you a little bit. Mining generates directly and indirectly, right? Employment, among other things that we already know. Antapaccay. In terms of poverty, development, basic services, how has it impacted?
The estimates that we have made are to see more or less what the contribution has been. Poverty in Espinar has been reduced. And what we have asked ourselves is how much Antapaccay has contributed with the different channels it has. Both the dynamization of the local economy and also the fiscal resources that allow the government to develop works to reduce the gaps. In terms of monetary poverty, the impact is more or less 10 percentage points. That is the contribution that the Antapaccay project has allowed. Now, this does not mean that poverty is not still high in Espinar or in the direct area of influence, which is close to 30%. There is still a long way to go, but we do see a positive trend in terms of contribution. And in terms of basic services, it has also contributed. More or less, it's about 8 percentage points. These are still relatively high. You have to take into account that 40% of the homes in the direct area of influence still don't have full utilities. Many of them precisely because of the spending prioritization issues that we had mentioned.
Finally, Alvaro, what shall we say? What is the direct beneficial impact for Antapaccay of this study that you have carried out? How do you visualize the usefulness of what you have studied?
I believe that the first is to make visible the importance of the mining project in the area. And the second is that in the study, we have been able to develop a set of lines of action to improve the results because the gaps are still deep. For example, there are pending agendas in the areas of water, sanitation, and above all in early childhood development, which with other experiences and compared experiences are also areas in which mining projects can contribute, and we are trying to propose a work agenda to be able to enhance long-term results.
Thank you very much, Alvaro, for being here, and we will talk at another time about other projects and how things are progressing. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. We were with Álvaro Monge, General Manager of Macroconsult. We also hope that works for taxes is very important so that mining companies can also contribute to the inefficiency of regional governors and mayors. Many times it is better to work on works for taxes so that the citizens can see the development and can touch it. Well, now we go to Gabriela Chicoma to talk a little bit about Spomina. Go ahead, Gabriela.
Thank you very much. Expomina Peru, the largest and most important mining event of the year 2024, with 16 years of trajectory, with the special participation of the United States as guest mining country. Expomina Peru is the only Peruvian event certified by the United States Department of Commerce. Do not be left out and be part of this great mining event. Reserve your booth at Expomina Peru. For more information, visit our website, www.expominaperu.com.
Well, now we meet Oscar Benavides. He is president of the Peruvian delegation for the PDAC and partner of Rodrigo Elias Medrano law firm. We are going to talk, of course, about PDAC. We are always, every year, we are leading this very important delegation. Welcome, Oscar. Tell us, we are just a few weeks away from attending the PDAC version of the Year of the Year of the Years. What is the most important message that Peru will bring at this time, besides ministerial changes as well?
Hello, Jorge. Yes, thank you for the invitation. In fact, it is already a custom that every time the Peruvian delegation attends PDA, there has been some change, some novelty in Peru that we must explain I believe that the main difference, for example, with the previous year was that in 2023, we had to go and explain what had happened in Peru. Let us remember that only a few weeks had passed since the tumultuous departure of President Castillo from the government. So it was a moment in which many explanations had to be given in order to transmit tranquility and perhaps begin to convince people that what was coming was going to be better, as it was much better at least. This year, it is time, I think, to say that, as we once said when we went to the World Cup in Russia, Peru is back. We have to go and explain that this is still an attractive country for a party, that we have had a year of relative stability, and that they should trust us. They should trust the authorities. They should trust the potential that Peru has in terms of suppliers. We have a lot of experience. And what can we say about the geological potential that we have? That is the message. That is a message of optimism, a message of strength to continue attracting investments. And I would add, to recover the general credibility which has been undermined in the last few years.
Hopefully. Tell us what will be the main activities of the Peruvian delegation in this version of the PDAC of 2024, and if you have confirmed the presence of government authorities as well.
Yes. Thank you, Cesar. I will start with the latter. The attendance of the ministers they have all been recently replaced. We are sure that they are going to confirm their participation, which is absolutely paramount. You have also confirmed your participation. We are pleased to bring 2 regional governors this year. This is something that has always been done, to bring regional governors, authorities from different sectors of the government, of the state, so that they can learn about mining, how mining is done in other places, and the benefits it has. This year it has been decided, it has been confirmed, to bring the regional governors of Arequipa and Moquegua, among many other authorities from different levels of other entities linked to the mining business. And what are we going to do there? The Peruvian delegation has several activities. I would refer to the main ones, the most important ones. We are going to have, as we do every year, the Peru Day. Peru is one of the few countries sponsoring the event. We were the first to achieve that status a few years ago, and it is something we must maintain. An anecdote of several countries that are waiting for us to decide at some point or delay in making decisions to make that connection that generates an important exposure to all internationalists. It is in this context that we are going to analyze Peru Day, which is a whole morning in which we combine presentations by Peruvians and foreigners. In this case, we are going to ask how we have fared in Peru, how we are seen from outside Peru, what we need to continue to be attractive, and what we are going to do to recover that competitiveness that has apparently been lost. This year at Peru Day, in addition to these exhibitions, which are always very interesting, we are going to try to change that. We are also going to have constructive dialogue in which a series of entities will be organized, including the World Bank, which is helping us, the BIP, Peruvian state entities, such as the Ministry of Energy and Mines, trade associations, such as the National Society of Energy, Petroleum and Energy, and other specialists who will be separated in different dialogue tables so that all Peruvian and foreign investors who need to know in detail the issues of interest to them and be able to speak directly with them. Matters of their interest and to be able to speak directly with the actors or with those who know the most about it, we'll have it at hand. We hope to be able to talk, discuss, and then we hope to have some sort of a roadmap with general conclusions, of course, of what has turned out to be the most interesting or the most sought after. And finally, I would say that there are 2 additional events that are of relevance, among others. We are going to continue with what is called the CEO Luncheon, a luncheon aimed especially for senior executives of companies linked to mining, suppliers, production companies, financial, government entities. It is a very special luncheon in which we are expecting the participation of the Minister of Economy, in which this opportunity is given so that they can exchange ideas. People of very high level in different instances of their governments or companies to be able to generate this link in the business. And finally, I am going to finish with something that is already a tradition at PDAC, which is the Peruvian cocktail that is held every year, one of the most popular ones, where we invite all Peruvians and foreign friends to participate. We invite all Peruvians, foreign friends, and many countries, and as you will not let me lie, it is probably the most attended cocktail of the entire conference, the largest in the world.
Ready, Oscar. Thank you very much for telling us a little bit about PDAC and all the organization. Congratulations for the work done, and see you soon in Toronto, Canada. As every year, best regards. Well, we have reached the end of the program. Cesar Iván Salas, country manager of Inca One Gold Corporation, was talking to us about the topic of the Reinfo is not working anymore. It's been a long time. It's a double-edged sword. Double-edged sword. Here in this program, we consider that it should be cut, but not cut just to not put anything. We have to cut it to give an option that really includes those who really want to formalize and not open the card to everybody. So I think that what Iván Salas has told us is important, and I think that we have to look for, the government has to look for those people who really want to formalize their status and not open the card to everybody.
Just as our guest Álvaro Monge, General Manager of Macroconsult, mentioned in the study that they have done together with Glencore on the potential of Antapaccay and its impact on regional development, not only in the province of Pinar, but also in Cusco. And how does it contribute to the national GDP? 1.1% of the GDP. I wish there was a lot of Antapaccay and there were more studies of this that would allow to optimize also the most important mining units of our country.
Formalize, that is the way it is. Listen to all Peruvians, the importance, what Cusco gives. Listen to all the percentages of growth, of development, of all that mining is giving. Listen to the regions, the importance of mining. We should be double, triple the investments. We all Peruvians have to convince ourselves and not let the anti-mining NGOs get into the communities and tell them lies. My name is Jorge León Benavides, and I thank you for being with us. Together with Cesar Campos, we have developed this program. In a few minutes, we will come with Peru Construye to talk about infrastructure and construction. Thank you very much.
With 16 years of successful trajectory, Expo Mina Peru, the largest and most important mining event of the 2024, will open its doors from September 11th to 13th, which will be chaired by Luis Rivera, Executive Vice President of Goldfields Americas region. For 3 days, Expo Mina Peru will bring together the main mining suppliers in a 47,000 square meters venue, with more than 1,270 stands and the participation of international delegations, with the latest technology in machinery, equipment, products, supplies and services, with purchase intentions for more than $700 million, which will be on display for the more than thousands of visitors expected. Within the framework of Expo Mina Peru, the 6th edition of the International Mining Conference, CONFAMIN, will be held, with 10 important international forums: the Latin American Congress on Logistics and Supply for the Mining Sector, the International Copper and Lithium Congress, and the Mantamin and Processment Technical Congresses. In addition, as part of the news that Expo Mina Peru brings, the first International Congress on Green Hydrogen and Alternative Energies will be held, where important and renowned professionals will present the opportunities and challenges of the new energy matrix. Reserve your stand and participate in the most important mining fair of the year 2024. Expo Mina Peru, do not hesitate. Invest well. Invest with the leaders. We are waiting for you from September 11th to 13th, 2024 at the Yoki Exhibition Center. More information at www.expominaperu.com.